visited your website, our website, and we've noted your third objective, empowering students to become more actively involved in decision making at HEIs, which is part of the theme of today. This notion of students as co-creators of our future and their future. And in particular, we noted specific objective 6, to provide a platform for critical dialogue, joint problem solving and interaction amongst PCs, HEIs and other stakeholders, and in particular to stimulate grassroots leadership initiatives among students. Okay? So that's really what we want to try and address this afternoon. Okay? So if we revisit Leslie's work, Leslie's nationally looked at some programs, and they run national programs. There's some examples of best practice. It's still early days in the UK with this agenda, the notion of bringing students into these circles. But Leslie will be able to tell us some of the challenges she's had trying to introduce such models into the UK, and as examples of where we might move forward. If we do that for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll set you some challenges maybe around this, if you can reflect on these issues in the separate groups, and that'll take us up to the next coffee break. Okay? So, Leslie.
Okay.
Swap over.
Don't know if the microphone's on. Let's see. Okay, so as Richard said, I'd like to give you a few examples of some work we've been doing around the agenda of trying to involve students more in decision making, and also to give you some examples of a couple of universities who are already engaged in that kind of process. So one of the programs that the Leadership Foundation for Higher Education runs on a regular basis throughout the year, a number of opportunities for student governors. So our governing bodies have student representatives on them, and students often struggle with that role and responsibilities associated with that. And so we run a number of programs to help them understand what their role is on a governing body. They have various names: council, executive board, and so on. This was one run at the end of last year, particularly about transferring skills from an experience as a student governor and thinking about how they might deploy those skills either in their further academic career or their employment choices. And those are a couple of quotes from student participants in that programme. So universities are trying to engage much more with their student body and not just have them passively sitting in these really quite high-powered committees, really, governing universities and ensuring that they do have a voice and that their perspectives can be heard. Just a couple of examples from other universities. And I mentioned Change Academy just before lunch as a process that we support around change and leadership in institutions. And the University of Exeter, which is in the southwest of England, brought a team to Change Academy 2-3 years ago because they were thinking about how they could engage their students much more in decision making and in change processes at the university. And they have a project, an initiative called Students as Change Agents, and this is their website. Sorry, it's a huge long URL there, but if you've got copies of the slides, you'll be able to follow that up, or just search for University of Exeter Students as Change Agents. And they have a range of different ways of involving students in their change projects. And this is an institution which is a research-intensive university. They have a number of different campuses. They've outsourced some of their IT and other support arrangements. So there's a lot of change going on in the institution, as well as a lot of curriculum change. And so they're engaging their students in different ways, thinking about co-creation of the curriculum and processes around support for the curriculum. Similarly, quite close by, Birmingham City University had a Change Academy project, which they brought to Change Academy 2 years ago, I think. And this is a screenshot from the brochure that they've produced at the end of the first year of this particular initiative, which is about students as partners. And again, this is about co-creation of curriculum in particular, and all the processes that go around that. And so, as it says here, last year a total of 30 collaborative projects were funded across the university involving students and staff. And both students and staff were invited to come forward with new ideas about how they wanted to introduce change. And the university funded some of those projects, so they gave staff time and money to support those projects. They're running that again this year, and obviously are evaluating that as they go through. And as Richard said, it's really only in the last 2 to 3 years that UK institutions have started really trying to involve students in this way as partners. And so it's a bit too early to say that we have any real evidence of whether this is a better way of working with students. But certainly there is early evidence that students and staff are finding this a challenging but very powerful and positive experience. But time will tell whether the outcomes for the students and the universities are actually any different to where we are now. And of course, measuring cause and effect in those kinds of arrangements are also quite challenging. So I mentioned Change Academy, and I'm going to shut up now and let some of the participants in Change Academy, if the sound and the film work, actually tell you what the participation has been like for them. Just before I do that, just remind you that these are teams of 7 or 8 people from an institution who come together to work through a change initiative, as I described just before lunch. And we very much encourage, as I said, student participation in those teams. We think it's very valuable. But I have to say that we do find, in some cases, quite a lot of resistance to that. For various reasons. Some teams say, well, it's very difficult to choose just one student. How can we tell whether they'll be representative? Other students will feel disenfranchised. How do we choose? And the answer there is, well, none of the members of the team really are representative. It's just people coming together to look at a particular change problem, and different perspectives are valuable from across the university or the college, including students and other stakeholders. And it would be really quite challenging for a student to have a whole burden of representing the entire student body on part of that team. So we try to say it's a different perspective, not a representative role. Other reasons for resisting are the people, the staff, academic and professional staff who are taking forward a change initiative are a little bit cautious about exposing their own lack of knowledge, understanding, expertise around a particular change initiative. And they don't want students to know that perhaps they haven't got all the answers. And so there's a lack of confidence there. But we do find that where students are engaged in these projects, both staff and students benefit hugely from having that different perspective. And actually, staff and students' feedback we get over the last 6 or 7 years is that whatever role the people in the team have, their confidence has grown, and many of them go on to be promoted or to take on jobs, particularly students, take on jobs within a university, management or leadership role, which is quite an interesting outcome in itself. But I'll let, if it works, just let one set of them talk.
We're from MMU, and our project is about embedding a change academy within the organisation itself, so it's quite an exciting project.
Our project is about using our students as change agents at the University of Exeter, building on a tradition of engagement between the university and our student community. And so a change academy, of course, is a wonderful opportunity to be pursuing that question of change. And I think we really feel that we come together as a group here, and particularly that it's actually brought out the partnership between the student members of the group.
The week has worked extremely well for us from Rose Bruford College, where we've been developing a VLE project with commercial applications. That's our intention. And certainly a variety of the activities we've had have been absolutely marvellous. The Rich Picture project helped us to really focus on what we were trying to get out of the week here and to identify aims and objectives. And then the Liquid Cafe on Wednesday was absolutely brilliant because we had so many excellent ideas from colleagues who had joined the academy as well. It was great.
Yeah, it's been fascinating from my perspective, because as a student, and particularly as a distance learning student, you don't always get as much input into the decision-making process in the college, and also to see how the internal mechanics of college decision-making works. And so to have this forum and these kind of educational prompts, if you like, to be able to express views, express ideas, and because it's isolated and protected in a very closed environment, it allows a lot of freedom.
I don't think we'd have actually been able to get to the stage that we've reached had it not been for Change Academy as such. I think the help of the facilitators and some of the exercises we've gone through have actually really helped us reach that point you just mentioned, Sue.
And what's really resounding from the team that we've worked, how we've been working this week, is how we've put the student experience at the pinnacle in terms of stories, and making it exciting and making it fun and making it friendly to all the membership of our university.
There is a world of possibility that we can now see for much closer collaborative working between different departments and different faculties in such a way that we can offer students a very cohesive and, I think, real-world set of learning experiences.
The Liquid Cafe was really excellent. That was an excellent part of the process. We did get a lot of really good ideas from other universities, particularly universities that were really number one in the student experience side of things. So that was very helpful for us.
Definitely.
Okay, that video and others are freely available on the Higher Education Academy's website, so you can, I think the sound was probably a little bit muffled, but you can have a look at the other feedback that we got from that. So that's all I wanted to say, just a few examples of how we are working and how universities are working to involve students more. But I think, Richard, now it's over to Sarah to lead us on this. Yeah? Yes. Thank you for your time.